you're 10 and 11, right? And at this point, I think I'm probably 25, 26. Doing the math. Yeah, right. We do something where the coaches are probably playing way harder than they should, right? And I just go screaming down the field. And Zach Springer's like, whoa, coach has got wheels.
Is this like
on Instagram
weekly thing now? You guys are getting going?
It's really whenever we want.
Just ate at El Rodeo, taco truck. It's brilliant. Beanies, burrito, lingua. You guys didn't eat anything.
Yeah, are they paying you for this?
Sponsor us.
Okay.
Sponsor us, El Rodeo.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's why. Shout out. Okay, we're here with Zach Springer, Gatorade Player of the Year, all-time leading scorer, high school. Is that right?
Yep.
Got to be up there for assists too. Is that right? Yeah, no big deal. Going to Carroll College next year, to play, and kind of wanted to sit down and talk with him. Nathaniel actually coached Zach when Zach was like 10 and 11.
Yeah, way back.
And then Hunter coached Zach in 8th grade, and then all the way through high school as well. So I thought it'd be kind of a fun opportunity to talk to Zach, and then also pick his brain, because he went and played around this last year around the country, and wanted to see what his impressions were and what his thoughts were, and what he thought maybe some of the biggest things that stood out for playing around through his career were, and maybe share some stories about these guys. Nathaniel, what do you remember about Zach growing up?
Yeah, great question. This was probably during some of my first years coaching. I had your group with a couple other coaches, and I think I had you guys for 2 years. And it was kind of my first experience of, okay, this is how 10 and 11-year-old boys are going to behave over the course of a year. And it was a wild situation. Just from the games that they played to the listening that they didn't do. But it always, I felt like it always set a pretty good base of what to expect going forward in my coaching career. I felt really lucky to have Zach and his group. Not only were they all good kids, they had a lot of talent, which is always easier from a coaching perspective. But the one thing that I thought that they really exemplified, and Zach in particular, you, was their coachability. You could sit down amidst the fun and the games, the jokes, the theatrics, and still have a conversation, and a lot of times a grown-up conversation with Zach, and have him conceptualize what you're talking about and then display it on the field. And so from my perspective, like now that I've done this a few years, looking back, very thankful to have Zach and his group.
It's more than a few years. He just graduated high school,
That is kind of hard to believe. This is one thing I'll always remember, Zach. We had a scrimmage on a Saturday. And we had to throw in a couple of coaches because we had like only 15 players, and we were doing 99 because it's back when we played either 77 or 99. And so you're 10 and 11, right? And at this point, I think I'm probably 25, 26. Doing the math. Yeah, right. We do something where the coaches are probably playing way harder than they should, right? And I just go screaming down the field. And Zach Springer's like, whoa, coach has got wheels. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. 2 years later, I look out on the field watching Zach play. I'm like, that's the fastest soccer player I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was only 2 years later. And so that, it's just like you have this perspective when you're 10, 11, all of a sudden you start growing up, and then you eclipse what your coach is doing from a speed level, a skill level, which he did very quickly. But it was really a funny moment to look back. And now it's cool to see that same kid who's given coaches props for being fast, being one of the fastest players I still have ever seen playing soccer. Gatorade Player of the Year, and run off to play ball at college.
Zach, do you have any funny memories from when Nathaniel coached you?
I mean, there was one memory that I still remember, and it was one time before practice, he comes up was wearing dress pants and a button-up shirt because I think he was still working a day job.
Yep.
Pretty serious.
Yeah.
And he's blasting this reggae song. And he goes, this song is going to be #1 in a couple weeks. And sure enough, it was.
Oh!
What was the song?
It was,
Was it like Modest Yahoo?
no. It was,
I'm trying to think back.
Can I have your daughter for the rest
Oh,
of my
yeah.
life?
Say yes.
'Cause I
Need to know.
know.
Magic, rude.
Yeah.
Yes, that is it. Yeah, that's funny.
And that stuck out to me.
That's the one thing I remember.
Yeah. Not the coaching, none of the soccer stuff.
No, as a funny story.
Right,
Funny story.
but as my
That is
acumen
good.
for knowing which song is going to hit the Billboard Top 100s. Yeah,
Yep.
that's actually probably where my skill set lies.
Hunter, what do you remember from coaching Zach? Anything stick out to you?
Well, there's a few things, and I think one for me, like coaching Zach early on, there were a few things that I quickly identified, and I think Zach's ability to kind of express himself as a player was really cool. Like Zach comes in, like you'll talk to him now, and he's like, cordial and quiet. But there's this side of Zach that wants to explode, and like go all out, win that game. And this is how he carries himself 90% of the day. But you put a soccer ball in front of him, and he's like, that Labrador, like ball, like play, throw the ball for me, like I'm ready to go. And then mixing that kind of enthusiasm with the skill set that he has was really incredible to be part of. And I would piggyback on what Nathaniel said about his, coachability, right? Like he really wanted to come through for you. Probably my best example that I would give, and like in coaching, like I do a lot of pattern play, right? And so if I'm working on some kind of attacking topic, there's a good chance, especially with combining forwards, I'm gonna have some pattern play in it. I'm a firm believer that pattern play and play like that, one of the things that you should be teaching is plan B, right? Like, so we're working on combining and getting in behind. And if I were to say, what's a common problem when we're trying to play a ball in behind, a pass in behind, what is a common problem where balls, where the play's not complete? And one common problem that I see a lot is the timing's wrong. So players trying to get in and we hit their heels, right? And so we literally had a pattern where I was like, we're gonna work on this. What are we gonna do when the ball is late or the run is too early, right? You're coming in and the ball gets played behind you and not in behind. Can you stop it, right? Or play a knockdown pass and then spin out and get it again. So we work on it for a couple of weeks, and we get into the championship game, Zach's junior year, and we have this play, and he's making this sick run in behind. And we've all seen his movement off the ball. It's aggressive and it's fast, right? And he's getting in behind, and that ball comes in. I can't remember if it was both, right? Zach was a little too early, and the pass came in a little too late. And he had another forward underneath him, and he just bangs it underneath. And the guy runs onto it, and he spins out, comes all the way around the back, gets played in, set up for a perfect one-touch finish, and it banged it off the post, and it went out of bounds. And but it deflected off of the goalkeeper and hit the post.
Yeah.
Was it the goalkeeper? So it was going in. It was a great shot. Goalkeeper just barely gets
Good
it.
save.
Yep, good save, and we scored on the corner kick. man, if someone does, like, we spend a week, where we talk about plan B, and then I told him this, it was like, that's a gift. You gave me one of the best gifts, as far as like some kind of tactical, something that we worked on, and it produces in a game of that importance,
And now you can remember it. I'm like trying to, I can't remember like specific goals, that a player has scored over the years, but that it was that defining that you can remember that. It's more so the experiences. This is another one with Zach. We were doing, and we're 10, 11 years old again, playing in a tournament in Helena, I think it was, and we're kind of lackluster, lazy as sometimes we are at that age, even from a coaching standpoint. And it was second half, and I don't even remember what the score was, but I remember pulling Zach aside, and we walked down to the corner flag, and we both sat down, and I was like, well, what's going on? What do you see? What do you think? What can we do here? And it was just, that conversation that lit a fire under him. And I know you went and scored 2 goals to win the game, which again probably shouldn't matter, but it's those types of moments that I think I remember as a coach too, the experiences. So it's kind of cool that you can remember a certain goal that came from it.
Yeah.
I think that experience and connection too that you have, because you always remember connecting with the player and being
right.
Connected, this was the result. So you worked on something in training, it came out in the game, and then you had a good result.
Right.
After, I think that connection is huge.
And then your dad came over at the end of the game. He's like, "Hey, what'd you guys talk about over there at the last part of that game?" He's like, "I need that speech."
Going back to that connection, so you got a chance to poke fun at Nathaniel. So do you have any stories about Hunter and anything that sticks out in your mind from him?
No.
There's got to be one.
No. Moving on.
I'm sure he has a lot. We're going to share
Moving on.
Just one.
I don't know. It's kind of been because I felt like there should have been one from this past year. Because coming in as a freshman, I was so scared. Hunter, Terry, every freshman is
We hear
scared.
that a lot. Their freshman year
Yeah.
is so scared of him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then as you move forward, sophomore year, I was still scared. Then junior year, felt like we were kind of becoming closer. Maybe friends at that point.
No.
And now we're here
Yeah.
messing around. But my sophomore year, I remember it. We just beat Billings Senior, and we got back on the bus. And
Billings Senior is your guys' big rival.
oh yeah,
Especially
it was.
Yeah.
That was the first time we beat them, I think. When I was in high school, was state stuff.
They had a couple of good seasons. Who
Yeah.
was a senior your freshman year?
Martin. Oh,
Your freshman year. Yeah, sorry.
West. Fritz. Blake.
Oh yeah, they were good.
They were good.
They were good that year. Yeah, they were good.
So I think it was the next year. But that was my first time beating them. So everybody was excited, and Bergen Hill got a package of ghost peppers, dried ghost peppers. Pops half of one in his mouth, and Hunter just walks back. Let me see these. Grabs it, pops it in, and just stares at us. And it was like one of those moments that I just sat there. I was like, did he just do that?
Yeah.
And he pops another one in, and then just walks back to his seat like nothing happened.
Man,
Tasty.
No big deal. Hunter Terry legendary.
Very legendary.
Apparently can handle really spicy foods. I remember actually just listening to these guys talk of you when you were younger and before you got in high school. And we would talk about this, Nathaniel and Hunter and I, about how we badly wanted you to be a goalkeeper.
Oh yeah, I
And we
remember.
wanted you to turn into a goalkeeper.
That's right.
And we talked about it
That's
with
right.
you.
Oh yeah.
We badly, because we needed one, and Zach was good at it. He was good at goalkeeper, would play it every once in a while, but he was always like, nah, I'm a goal scorer. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But I remember that, and I remember probably when Nathaniel was coaching you, going to watch a high school game, and you were there to watch it too, and you just dribbled a ball the entire time you were watching it. And I was like, he always had a ball on his feet. I think those are kind of the things that ended up setting you apart in the long run. Is you had a very clear, focused path, and you were always willing to put in the work too. I think that's kind of what got you there, but got you to where you are now. So very cool. But yeah, you remember that? We wanted him to be a goalkeeper.
I do.
Could have been great.
Absolutely.
Could have been great. I stand
remember
by it. Stand by. Goalkeeper.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be
And
fair,
you're a great
if
field player, so there's nothing.
And to be
didn't turn
fair,
out
if
bad.
you became a goalkeeper, you would have been amazing. Absolutely. I mean, I've no. However, I'm very pleased with.
I was gonna say there's still time. We can still do this.
I got a ball in the truck, man. You ready? Let's train.
Right.
Let's train.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, recently, Zach, you had the opportunity over the last year or two to go play in different parts of the country, and I know you went down in Southern California and played. You got to play with the club team that my brother was coaching at that point, and then you also played at a camp in San Luis Obispo. Is that right?
Yes.
I wanted to kind of pick your brain because we're always, as Montanans and as players, as they get older, they're always trying to figure out how do I stack up? What's the difference when I go to these bigger markets? What's it like? Kind of wanted to pick your brain on what your experience was there and what your thoughts and takeaways were.
So going down, it was kind of like that same thing. I've never played at the SoCal level, and so I was nervous. But as we got going, of course, the speed of play was a lot faster. But I also felt like having you guys as coaches, it kind of I don't know really how to phrase it, but it wasn't as big as a jump as I thought it was going to be, and I felt that I was able to hold my ground better than I was expecting to. But
That's very kind of you.
The speed of play is just a lot faster. It's not much somebody gets in, dribbles. It's more like one touch, two touch. Max.
Just everything,
Oh, yeah.
decision making,
Bing, bing, bing,
ball
bing.
back in play,
Oh, yeah.
everything, or
Everything's so much faster.
is the physicality a different level, or is it not really? Or is it more just the intensity and
It's
the
more
drive?
just the intensity. I think with the more intense you go, the physicality just goes up too. So if you're playing more intense, I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah. I think, that's always been my thought and takeaway is that at that level, those kids, they're used to playing at such a higher intensity, and they're always playing at that intensity.
Oh, yeah.
So they're always driving each other. I think that's kind of, for better or for worse, I think it's hard to replicate in Montana.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
we try, us coaches, and I'm glad to hear you say that actually, that you felt you were somewhat prepared and willing to step up and give it a go. But we always try to replicate intensity in our sessions, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
But it's a different level where there's so much more depth and numbers, and all of the kids are like that.
It's insane.
Yeah. Hunter, do you have another question about California?
So, Zach, I want to know two things. One is what was the biggest benefit from Joel finding you some clubs and some coaches to work with in Southern Cal? And the reason why I bring that up is we, in our club, put a lot of emphasis on training for development versus tournaments. We like tournaments, and we want to send teams to tournaments. However, we put a lot more emphasis in there. So can you share some things that you felt were really big about training with a DA in Southern California?
Yeah, so I was heading down there to go visit colleges, and I think I told you about that. So I texted Joel, and Joel was the one that set me up with the practice. And after the practice, I think it added to my confidence, but also I think a lot of people also realized that Montana, that's not just all chumps playing. Like there's actually some level of play, and it definitely helped me get under the radar a little bit more. So
Cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of our goal. We like trying to set stuff like that up and push people and challenge people because it opens your eyes, right? Gives you that little bit of confidence, so that's perfect. And then we also, we want to open other people's eyes to some Montana talent too. So
oh yeah.
I think that sounds great.
Anytime you can get exposure to different things and sometimes better things, I'd imagine it's great for you as a player. And yeah, it's got to be a cool opportunity, but fun too, meeting new people. Yeah, getting a new kind of geographical layout other than Bozeman, Montana.
It's a different style of play for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good, and I think it's really good to see that as a player going through as well, to experience that. I think it does wonders for you as a player too.
Especially in a training setting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's one thing. I mean, a lot of people will go to tournaments and they're like, "Hey, look at the way that they're playing." But it's not the same as a training environment. Like, we're trying to achieve A, B, and C in this 2-hour session, and this is how we want it to look. This is how we want it to sound, and this is how we want it to feel. And at a tournament experience, it's great. You know, there are so many great things about that, but there's just this developmental factor that I think lacks. And I think that's it's really cool that you got that opportunity.
I had a question, Zach, because even at a young age, you could see you becoming a leader, and I'm always fascinated by people's leadership styles and what they think goes into it. So if you could just kind of take us through and tell us kind of about your leadership style, what you find effective. Do you like to do it more from a verbal standpoint, let your play do your talking, combination of both, or what do you think?
That's a good question.
I'm here for the hard-hitting questions.
Can I tell a story about Zach?
Yeah.
And then you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, because that makes I got to tell this story.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, you're well positioned for it.
So when we were coming up on a big game, I had been keeping track of how many goals Zach was scoring, and I kind of went through and I added seasons together, and I looked at who held the record, and I was pretty sure that if Zach scored one more goal, he was going to have the new AA record for the state in a single for a career. At it was 72 goals, and he was sitting at 72 goals. So we're at a session, and I pull him aside and I go, hey Zach, you know how many goals you have? Yeah. Do you have 72? Yeah. So if you score another goal, you're gonna break the record? Yeah.
Problem solved. He's good at that. Yeah. Right.
He's like, yeah. And then he goes, but you can't tell anyone. I don't want anyone to know. I want everyone to be focused on the game. We need to win the game. I don't want anyone talking about it.
Right.
And for me, that was like a good moment. Like as far as like leadership, it's like he didn't want that to be about him.
Right.
He didn't want any of his teammates to know.
Right.
Anyhow, the next game, he scores a beautiful direct kick and just bends it over the wall. I mean, it was beautiful.
We were there.
Oh,
Yeah,
you guys remember the goal?
Yeah,
you remember the goal?
I remember his first Great Falls. You were up on the artificial turf.
Tied up the game though. That's all that matters.
He did tie up the game.
And then Jackson won. He had the game-winning goal, so not too much attention.
What,
It was
how
52.
many?
52, not 70.
52.
152. Good luck.
Felt like 100.
Yeah.
That was a lot, man.
That record's gonna be tough to beat. Yeah.
So that does paint a good picture, a little bit of your style. But what do you think? What do you think going back to Nathaniel's question then?
I feel like I'm more of like the positive leader. Like when kids were getting down on themselves, I would make sure to go up and be like, hey, like, we need you. Like, you're doing fine. Just wipe it off. Keep playing. But I feel like there was definitely some times where, especially in like practice, like not really a verbal leader, just like trying to push kids harder and being intense and try and get like the whole practice intensity up.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about that intensity from Southern California. So
Yeah.
I think that's something that we need here too, is not only coming from the coaches, but coming from some of the players and leaders like yourself that are like driving that intensity within the sessions and within the other players, and getting them to like, hey, come on, we gotta raise this better. We gotta be more intense. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
No, and I would agree. I mean, you were one of the kids where we could, like, if there was a meltdown going on somewhere with a kid
At 11 years old.
at 11 years
Happens
old,
all the time.
right?
Yeah.
Which does happen all the time. You could have Zach bring a little bit and a lot of bit of confidence to those kids, and you'd be the first one to go back and play keeper if we needed to. I think you kind of had fun, especially on those games.
He definitely did.
Yeah. I think you enjoyed that a little bit. So
That
maybe-
reminds me. I think it was our first year together.
Okay.
No, it was probably second because I was a lot closer with you, but we were winning by a lot against Kalispell, I think.
Okay.
So I was back in goal, get the ball in my hands, just punt it as far as I can. It went right over the goal.
Yes.
And I looked at you, and you just went, "Don't celebrate." And I just like kind of scrunched back
Was this in
down.
Helena? Because I think I remember this exact. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I mean, he bombed this too. And I mean, it probably went, for a 10, 11, 12-year-old, 60 yards in the air, hit right over there. And I'm looking at him. I could tell he's excited. I'm like, oh, Zach, we're not going to celebrate this. But secretly be like, that was awesome. Yeah. No, that's
It
good.
was unspoken.
Yeah.
I'm sure you just looked at him and he looked at you and was like,
Right.
Can't celebrate.
Kind of like one of those things from.
Yeah.
It's like the Hunter Terry stare.
Yeah.
You're like messing around. You look up and you just see Hunter, hands on hips, staring at you.
Oh, and I think that's like some of that stuff is what's fun to like see that and then watch you then obviously grow, mature, and then become this outstanding player. That part has been really fun for me, is just being a little blip in the radar along the way, and then watching you through some of these high school games and see you streaking down the left wing or crashing into the right wing, and doing some of the great stuff that you did out there. So
Yeah. I mean, we're super excited to watch you play at Carroll too.
Yeah.
I know this coming fall, I guess the season got pushed back to the spring. Is that right? So we're looking forward to being able to follow you there. And is there going to be video of the games? Do you even know? I mean, I don't even know. I don't know either. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But
COVID season.
COVID season. But we're super excited for you to continue your career and keep playing and keep being a leader and keep representing well, and hopefully keep having fun too.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Cool.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah. Thank you.